And welcome to the Cobracast with the President VP. I'm the host, Ricky Rifty, the Pres Logan, and I got my co-host, Ricky Dog VP Ettridge. Welcome to the show.
We're finally back.
Boy, we're back again.
Finally. we did start the year with great intentions.
We always do.
Oh, we did. We in the world we live in now, we did cop quite a few hiccups along the way. We did the recap after round 2, and we were planning to go every second week. And then 2 weeks later, you popped for the old novel coronavirus, and then had a bit of a 2 weeks later, I couldn't get down here because the wife had popped, and then I'd popped for COVID, and then adding the birth of a child, and just good intentions. And over the last 2 weeks, we've been meaning to get onto it and do it, and then I guess last week decided he wasn't going to come to training, so we're like, oh, well, there's no point doing it, and empty seat next to us now because we thought he was going to be here tonight, now he's not.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bear trap just ducked out of training earlier. Had to.
I heard the grapevine that he was going to go test his boat out.
Oh yeah, probably. He's going to study to get his license, I think.
I think he was going to try and find a tow ball off our marketplace. Yeah. But now we are back, mate, and from here on out, we will be pretty much every week.
Hey, let's not make any promises.
With best intentions, we promise to be back every second week at least.
Under promise and over deliver.
Yeah, that should have been our thing from the get go. There's been we come with good intentions, and then when you other two blokes running the footy club, and let's be honest, in the first handful of weeks of the season, we did run into a lot of issues with us fixturing and last minute trying to get things sorted. But now we're back now, and in the rooms obviously, and now with the fact that I can no longer train as such for training. There's no reason why we can't be here on a Tuesday night. We just need to kick blokes out after training a bit quicker.
So why would you not be training?
I'm just lazy. That's a bad boy right there. Fractured finger, unfortunately, which meant to be my season done, but let's see how that goes.
Yeah, so unfortunately, at round 11, going for a mark.
Yep.
Just,
a mark. That's the most embarrassing, not embarrassing part, but the worst part about it is the fact that something I've done 100,000 times in my life, everyone goes, oh, how'd you do that? I'm like, marking the ball. They just look at me like, what? I'm like,
it was a shit kick.
It was a hack kick out. If you watch the footage on our Halfback Digital Media's YouTube page, it was a hack kick out. And I think the worst thing about it was because I've dislocated that finger that many times, I looked down and thought it was pointing sideways, yanked it as I normally do, looked back and it was straight. I'm like, she's good now. As the game went on, I'm like, she's still really, really sore. And, yeah, the scans the next day showed that it's a pretty bad fracture. So,
yep, so not ideal, but hopefully with a bit of luck going your way, recovery is all right, and we do get you back in time for finals. But, mate, it's been a while since we've gone through the results and stuff, so we've got a fair few games to get through, so we probably shouldn't waste
might as well just crack on.
So let's get into round 3.
Just going back a while now.
That's how long it's been.
So what do we got? So round 3, we played Keezy for what felt like the third time for the season.
Yeah, well, it was round 3 and it was already the second time facing him.
And
so
the weird one of playing Keezy at Hampton Park.
Hampton Park, which was, again, another little thing that was a hiccup in last minute changes and stuff, but we deal with what we deal with and we move on.
We do. I think the big issue with that game, as remember back, was that we pumped them in round 1, so we just thought, oh yeah, round 3, go back out there, do the job again, and it actually wasn't as easy. Ended up being a 46-point win in the end, 8-2, 50 to 14, 12, 96, but it certainly was not that easy.
It wasn't a walk in the park by any stretch. We kicked 14-12, so, we probably kicked ourselves out of it a little bit and made the scoreline look a bit better. And, they were an accurate 8-2, so...
I'll tell you what, though, looking at the breakdown of the scores, it never actually felt like we were that far ahead. Like, sort of looking at the breakdown was, 20 points up, 20 to 30 points up all game, but it felt so much closer.
Yeah, it was, sort of, I think it was one of those ones like, when you're 14-12, and I reckon you could add in probably 3 or 4 out on the fulls to that as well.
Yep.
It's sort of, when you're not kicking as straight, it doesn't make you seem like the game's, we're keeping them closer than what it needed to be, sort of thing.
Absolutely. And the goal kickers for that day was Froles popped up with 5. He 3 from the midfield. Then the last 10 minutes decided to sit himself in the goal square. Not bad for a midfield rotation throughout the game.
Yeah, yep.
I kicked 3, Fat kicked 2, Griffo comped. Griffo, Squeaker, Bluey, and Whip ran at the goal kickers, and the best player, obviously, Froles with 5, myself, Pippa, Proct, Bluey, and Sunday for the best players.
Yeah, so then we got to come back home for round 4, and we come up against Sky, who's always been a tough rival of ours in the thirds.
Certainly, think not a bad thing to say that they were definitely undermanned.
Yeah, I think that, it was sort of well known that they were going to be undermanned that week.
Ended up running out pretty most comfortable, I reckon, over beaten Sky in the thirds of the last handful of seasons.
Yeah, I can't remember us ever having a win that well against them. So, 10-9, 69 to 3 straight 18.
And goal kickers, Kados 2, a lot of goal kickers. Froley, Peaches, Griffo, Matt Benny, Juzzy, Squeaker, Fat, and Whipper again with the goals. And best players, Griffo, Froles, Sunday, Kados, Pippa, and yours truly, Ricky Logan.
Yeah, just holding it down at the back line there.
Someone has to.
And then we get to round 5, where we're coming up against a team that we knew nothing about. Because
Who cares about this game?
Yeah,
this game is just I don't know why this is even on the run sheet.
I unfortunately tested positive, the week before, and so was getting out of ISO the day after the game.
And I was enjoying time looking after the little one while my wife had COVID. So we both weren't there, unfortunately.
Yeah, so it was our first time travelling down to Bentley, which is a Div 1 side that we've never had to play against in the thirds, or in our time in Division 3 or 4, we've never faced them. So, and
I'm sure you'll sit there and say that when you probably seen the score after the game, as I did, you're quite blown back by, considering the results they showed for the first 4 rounds. When I seen the final score, I was a bit like, we actually obviously took care of business pretty well.
Yeah, but also, again, a lot of inaccuracies. 7-15, 57 to 4-9, 33. And I know it was a windy, shitty day that day.
It was nice and warm from the I was actually thinking about coming down to watch that game. I'm like, I'm allowed to leave the house. My daughter's allowed to leave the house. I walked outside and felt how cold it was. I was like, nah, I'm just going to sit at home, I reckon.
I was locked in my bedroom away from the family. But
the goal kickers for that day were Matt Benny 2, Whipper, Kados, Juzzy, and Rains. And best players were Chipper, Sunday, Juzzy, Tekka, Whipper, and Bluey. But we're missing out on a big thing between that round, mate, was the week off. The Easter break, where the Cobra Bowl was decided, and decided with the asterisk next to the title winner.
Yeah, well, I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up at all, to be honest.
Part of me was still thinking about not letting it go ahead due to the uproar and the whinging that come from that thing. All right, so then we move on to round 6. Another game that I don't really care about, because this was the week where I popped for COVID and was out the day before. But this was one where really showed what we can do as a team. Now, we went in at quarter time, 2 behinds to 4-1, 25 down, and then let them only kick 2 goals, 1 for the rest of the game, and run away 9-8, 62 to 6-3, 39. Goal kickers, Titties 3, Matt Benny 3, Froles and Whipper. Our best players, once again, you got Froles, Titties, Matt Benny, Chipper, and Matt Dixon.
And again, it's a upper division team, Springvale Districts, that they're up there in Div 1. They've come from a couple of years ago, Div 3, to win a couple flags and get up there. Well, unfortunately, they didn't win the flag last year, but it's a team that you sort of, these top division teams, when you come up against them in thirds, you sort of never know what to expect. So.
Exactly right. Then we move on to a third game against Keezy in round 7. Now, this one was the one where I think with round 3, we went in a little bit big-headed. This should be a walk in the park.
Yeah, I think we were also undermanned a little bit. We had a few out with the spicy cough.
Yeah, this is my one day after I come after got out of isolation on the Friday, played the Saturday, and I only played 2 quarters, and then by 3/4 time I come off and felt like I hadn't slept for 3 days. So wasn't exactly it was a good day for footy. They also had I think big pass players day on as well. So normally when clubs have them type of functions on, you get a few ring-ins come through, and just the
you're up and about as
exactly
a team.
right.
You
Yeah,
got a crowd, especially as a third. You don't, when you're kicking the dew off the ground most weeks, you don't really get too many crowds watching. So to have a big occasion for them, they would have been up and about for it.
and let's be honest, I think when you're coming up against a team for a third time in 7 rounds, you do start to get complacent. You've beaten them twice, yeah, it should be easy. And not even complacent, but also, really, again? We've got to play them again. So this one was actually, 6-6-42, but again, inaccurate kicking, 5-13-43. And to be fair, one of those points was our bloke rushing it through with about 10 seconds to go to win us the game, where they could have at least iced the draw earlier if their player had been sort of... I know you're going to go for goal, you're going to try and win the game, but if he had just booted it through the points, kicked it, so wasn't enough time to get it coast to coast. But goal kickers for that one, Matt Benny 2, Titties, Squeaker and Whipper. Geez, Whipper just pops up for a goal every game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's good for a goal a game.
Best players, Soda. Soda was the one that punched it through in the last 10 seconds. Was it Soda?
He was, I think he caused a spoil at the centre half.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Frols, Titties, Chipper, Bluey and Pip. So then we move on to round 8 at home against Dingley. And another one where you look at the scoreline and go, geez, I don't think I've beaten Dingley ever by that much.
Dingley's always been, they've won a couple of thirds flags. They've always been up there, and they've won a club. So they're, a club that has probably been the envy of the Southern League for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
With how well they've gone as a whole.
So 11-13, 79 to 1-6-12. Goal kickers again, Frols popped up with 4, Titties 3, myself 2, Kados 1, Griffo 1. And best players, once again, Frols and Titties, Sunday, Dixon, the Bear Trap, and Jonty.
Yeah.
And then we move to another massive hiccup in our season.
Yeah, so round 9, we were supposed to have a bye. And then the following week was Queen's birthday, but last minute, week before, we found out there was another team coming back into the thirds to even up the fixture, which meant that every team that was scheduled for a bye would lose that. And we just happened to be that team that was having the bye that week. So
and had quite a few blokes that had already had plans in place because of that 2 weeks off, and that didn't stop us though. A resounding win.
I've never not wanted to make a phone call as much as I had to make this phone call to Faddis to let him know that we were going to be playing that week when I knew all the plans he had for that weekend. So
yep, well, I didn't play because I had a halfback work booked in for weeks beforehand and couldn't pull out of that one. But very south, 3-4-22 to a 16-13, 109. Goal kickers, Matt Benny with 5, Rains with 3, Kados and Peaches 2 apiece. Then Frols, Juzzy, Squeaker, and Joshy Herford ran out the goal kickers. Now, best players, Matt Benny, Sunday, Frols, Soda, Peaches, and Joshua.
Yeah, then we obviously had the week off for Queen's birthday weekend.
Oh, finally a game to get talking about. Here we go.
Then we come back, round 10. We travel out to Endeavour Hills where we didn't know what to expect.
And let's be honest, about half hour before the game, or 20 minutes before the game, I was still thinking that there was a chance we weren't going ahead.
Yeah, unfortunately, they are struggling for numbers at the moment. So there was sort of, I think, 12, 14 blokes. They were calling guys still last minute, trying to get guys up. So I think they got 16 up with a couple that sort of came late as well.
I think they ended up with 18 at the end, I think, by quarter time.
So I think they had 16 to start, and then a couple guys run on during the game at some point.
So that was 3-3-21 to 20-14, 134. Now, do you want me to go through all 8 of my goals, like in depth? We've got plenty of time.
No, let's say, what did you kick?
8.
Cheap 8.
Yeah, 8. Benny 4. Kados 3. Hambo, Killer, Juzzy, Dicko, and Froley make up the goal kickers, and the best, obviously myself. Then you got Frols, Benny, Kados, Griffo, and Joshy.
See, I think Faddis is probably glad, he's not playing at the moment, So he's the one picking the best players, right?
I
So,
don't think he still is.
No, he's
He's actually doing it now, is he? Yeah.
He's picking the best, but
Told me the other day he wasn't.
he knows, like, as a forward, if you've kicked 8 goals, that's probably a best on.
That makes sense why Benny got best on with 5. Because normally Benny just kicks 6.
Where I know Fat in the past, I'm pretty sure he had an 8 or 9 goal. Might have even been a 10 goal.
He was 10
game.
against Blackrock.
10 goal game and didn't get best on. He was not happy about it. And then there's been times where he's had a decent day in front of goal, and as a coach, he's then going, well, I can't put myself in the best. But I'm like, mate, you kicked 6
Always
or
put yourself
7,
in
you
the
got
best,
to put
mate.
yourself in. So he's looked after the forwards, making sure they're getting in the best when they've had a few.
But that scoreline could have been completely different. The forward line, you look at myself, Benny, and Cato's 8, 4, and 3. That could have been completely different if, even though we're beating him quite comfortably, Fat was very on his adjust your game. We don't kick away. Like we sort of the first
Don't blaze away. Yeah.
First half, we sort of weren't really rewarding our forwards for the work they were putting in. And the second half, midfielders started doing their job and let the forwards do their job. And it shows with 15 goals between 3 of our forwards.
Yeah, definitely. And round 11, we'll back home for the first of back-to-back home games against CPL. We booked it in for a Friday night.
Another hiccup.
A big occasion for a Friday night. It was
Trappers 200.
Bear Traps 200th, which
should have been early in the season, but he cooked himself in the calf and supers.
Yeah, he was actually due to play it against Endeavour Hills, but pinged a calf, and to be honest, he was actually pretty close to not being able to get up for the CPL game as well. He was still not quite 100%.
But the man of the occasion got himself up. He could have been in hospital on his deathbed. He wouldn't have been here for that occasion.
Well, mate, when you'd spent the money he'd spent on the banner he got,
yeah, true.
You would have got him to carry you through on a stretcher.
I heard a little rumor that he paid $5 for everyone that rocked up for him as well. I don't know if that's true, but the footy trip tin has disappeared since that day, so could actually be some truth to that rumor.
That was a good night. We got the win for his 200th, and there was a good crowd down here for it, which was even better.
Yep, and so 7-8-50 to 5-6-36. Goal kickers Frols with 4. Juzzy, Benny, and Squeaker. Best players Frols, Squeaker, Soda, Proctor, Jonty, Benny, and Joshy Herford. And that is the game where I screwed my finger. So
yeah, and unfortunately, stray kick, bang into the finger, puts you out of action.
Yeah, that's what I get for trying to stop the hack kick out of the forward line. I should just move to the contest, put myself straight to the goal square, push somebody else out there. But it is what it is. And then, so at this point in time, we're sitting 11-0, feeling pretty good about ourselves. I don't think, speaking of school, even though we were 11-0, a few cracks starting to appear and a little bit of Larshi creeping back in.
Yeah, I think attitude was a little bit of the theme that I sort of see was starting to become a bit of a problem with guys' attitudes towards each other, a little bit of that negative sort of, if even within games, little battles within games of like, all right, they've kicked a goal and now we've got to get back in front or whatever, and it's the sort of attitude was a bit, towards that negative side, and it wasn't just like, we know what we're going to do, we're going to get it done, like, and which is what we've done in previous games and what we've been able to do all year. So I think with the team that challenged us, it really sort of brought forth some negatives that we probably haven't had previously, which was disappointing. But
well, the bright side that I look at from that game is as someone that wasn't there, but I was filming it for halfback, was I can pinpoint about 7 moments in that game that we lost the game. We adjust 7 things that we can adjust, and just blokes doing what they're meant to be doing, and we win that game by a couple of kicks. And let's be honest, we went in at quarter time only kick up, where in that first 10 minutes we could have banged on 4 or 5 pretty easily, but we didn't.
Yeah, so the final score in round 12, 6-9, 45 to 8-5, 53. Again, a little bit of inaccuracy as well. I'm pretty confident in saying there was at least 5 out on the fulls you could add to that scoreline as well.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Where they were blazing away, if you will, or just, I think it's a little bit of like rush to get a score because we're behind. Instead of looking for that best option, slowing the play down and getting the best look at it, sort of like
there was also a lot of we would bust our ass to go inside 50, we'd bust our ass to keep repeating inside 50s, but then because we're working so hard that way, ball would come out of our 50 and no one was working hard the other way, which left a back line and all sorts. So I think their first 4 goals pretty much come from very, very quick. Like there's 3-1, not 3 goals in the first quarter. I reckon we'll inside 50 10 to 15 times, and their 2 goals I reckon they win inside 54 times.
Yeah, I think I haven't been able to watch the replay yet, but I'm pretty sure if I watched it, I reckon that their score efficiency, is that how they put it in the AFL, where, the insides converted to scores? I think theirs would be, it'd almost be 100% for them early in the game. It would be
very, very close. It was sort of weird because it's the first time I've actually filmed one of our games, and, standing at full forward or even standing on the sidelines, I'm normally watching sort of the game, what's happening behind and what's happening ahead of the game all at the one time. But when you're watching behind a camera, the amount of stuff that you pick up, you're like, we can fix that. So I actually left there. I think, again, the thing that was brought up tonight, which I was going to bring up in the match review, was even though we were, I think, 3 goals, effectively 3 kicks with 2 minutes to go in the game to win it, I actually always felt like we were a chance. It wasn't until that last minute where I'm like, okay, now we've too long now. But I always felt like, okay, we're actually still a chance to at least bring this back to a win here, or at least get it back to less than a kick.
With time on, if we had time on,
I'm not even time on, just blokes being aware of the game sense that we don't have time on. Like there's a couple of times where, we kicked out the fence and none of our blokes went to run to get it. So you sort of switched on with that. But time on.
Time on and make it a very different sort of look because, we've sort of, while it's, a little bit too little too late, but
it is. But goal kickers, Matt Benny 4, Kados and Squeaker. And then best players, Paddy, Matt Benny, Pippa, Squeaker, Sunday and Proctor. So, now...
and that's sort of pretty telling, isn't it, when a backline player is getting best on.
Paddy was great. Paddy was fantastic. So, now this podcast is only goes ahead because of the Footy Club, and one of the sponsors at the Footy Club, the new one this year is Kitchens, or You Build Kitchens.
Yep.
Cheltenham and Hallam, I'm pretty sure. Mentioned them in the first podcast of the year, but life member, stalwart of the club, Steve Rowney, jumped on board as a sponsor this year. Obviously can't go past McCormick Constructions, major sponsor for, obviously now 7 years running, probably.
Oh, yeah.
About that. And obviously...
supported the bar well before.
Yeah, he was buying Jimmy's too, so he was buying that top quality, top shelf stuff. And obviously halfback digital media built for community sport. So we're, 12 rounds in. Who has been your standout player, but your standout player that's actually surprised you how good they've been this year?
Okay.
I'll start. Obviously, I didn't run this budget. Matt Benny.
Yep.
Matt Benny is currently sitting, I think he's sitting top of the goal kicking.
Yep.
He might be goal ahead
league.
For the league goal kicking. Yep. I mean, obviously me being out for a chunk of game and Fat being out for a chunk of time, it's helped him because it's actually helped him be the focal point. Like, normally when he's in the forward line with myself or Fat, or myself and Fat, he's second, third option. And normally when it's me and Fattest and I out there, he's up at half forward flank. We all know Matt Benny can kick a goal. He takes a mark. You're backing him 80% of the time, I reckon. And he's a player that once his confidence is up, he's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. When he's actually he's on the ground, like game day's confidence is up. He's buzzes.
He's one of the harder running. Like again, he's a completely different forward to yourself and Fat, where you guys have to use what your attributes are and, outsmart your opponents, get your body under, whatever, where he is somebody that, and he's had to do it. He's had to do the second, third, fourth leads because he's trying to open space a lot for you guys and things like that. But then when it's been like, all right, well, Ed Dog's out this week, Fat's out this week, we need you to step up and you're the target now. and he's taken up
and he's
stood up to
not
those
shy
roles.
when he's out there as the second forward. He's not afraid to go and open that space up for you.
No.
He understands that, okay, he's not the focal point, but to win games of footy, he opens up space.
Selfless.
But then by doing that, he gets reward. I think there was a game, I don't remember who it was, but it was a game where he worked his ass off for 2.5 quarters, opening space, and then in that last quarter, I think it was only a couple of games, I think it was early on in the season, there was a couple of games with our forwards, one bloke would have a great 3 quarters, but then the work that the other blokes were doing for them 3 quarters, they got rewarded with a bunch of goals in the last quarter when the game was sort of iced and putting on, they like to call them junk time goals, but they were getting rewarded for the effort they'd put in for 3 quarters. Yeah, Matt Benny to me would be probably a standout player that is surprising.
Like you'd almost go as far, and I agree with you that like it's hard to say this for a guy who's been here for almost 200 games himself. He'd be almost most improved.
You'd have to say, yeah.
From last year to this year, you'd almost put him in that most improved.
I mean, anyone that goes from a player that can be hit and miss week in, week out. Some weeks you could get 10 touches, some weeks you can't find the footy, to being after 12 rounds, top of the goal kicking, and you read through the stats and it's consistent goals. Yeah, he's kicked up like a bag of 5 and a bag of 4. But even again, on the weekend, Sky. Kicks 4 against Sky.
Yep.
And he kicked 2 goals on the siren, both quarter time and half time.
And kicked a ripper from the boundary line.
Yeah.
Where he should have got given a 50.
Yes, he should have, yes.
Took the mark in the air, was pushed in the back bloody 20 metres, just launched in the air. The mark wasn't even brought back to where he originally should have
I watched that
taken
today, actually,
the kick from. The mark was given probably an extra 10 metres from where he took the kick from where he landed instead of where he took the mark.
And the most amazing thing about the goal, it looked like a half-hearted snap. It looked, watching it back, it looked like watching it live and then watching it back how I have, it looks like he's almost like, I'm just going to go for it, and if it comes off, it comes off.
If you're watching this on video,
I'm pretty sure you hit it bad. But to me, you're probably right. He's probably the most improved player. I mean, when you don't have many blokes blokes have been here this whole time, there's no one that's really improved drastically like he has.
Yeah.
But that comes from, again, him. And same as me when I'm a forward. When I know I'm the focal point, I'm the main target that day, you always try a little bit harder because you know you won't get to kick the footy.
Yep. All right. I think another one that's been solid has been a pretty solid rock-down back has been Chipper.
Oh, absolutely.
He's just been absolutely a marking machine.
I think he was best on 2 out of the first 5 games or something, wasn't he?
He's looking like bloody Stephen May, freaking.
He's like belting his own teammates, though. Thank God for that. Jesus Christ.
But yeah.
But no, you're right, yeah.
Some of the marks he's been taken, one-on-one, rarely gets beaten, and just reads it well.
Yeah.
Just reads it well in the air when he gets a chance. The only time freaking he gets stuffed up is when old Tex decides to go third man up, fly over and spoil him.
Or when he just goes, this is comfortable, and then falls over himself.
Yeah.
But that's our half back line. Yeah, you look at the half back line, and when we're playing good footy, the fact that the 3 best mates play across that half back line is, I think, a big reason why we are so strong. Like it gives you blokes down in that full back line a little bit. Makes your job a little bit easier when that half back line is doing their job so well.
Yep.
And as we seen on the weekend, they didn't have the best of days and made your bloke's life down there very, very tough.
Yep.
But
and another one I'd say is a guy who at the start of the year changed jobs, was sort of undecided whether he was even going to be able to play footy at all. Hasn't really been able to train, but any time he's been available, he's just said, I'm available, I'll come play. And that's been Soda.
Yep.
And, we've said, all right, this week we
Jeez.
need you in the ruck.
I tell you what,
Next week we need you to play wing. Or, you know what, there's a fast forward, we need you to go back. And he's just starting the job
now you
every
mentioned
week.
Soda, geez, it's almost... Yeah, you almost have him most improved. Like,
I think he's won it before, so it's hard to win two most improved.
that is true. But it just means you're getting better, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you can't improve on improving, can you?
But in reality, I think he's improved due to age. Like, let's be honest, he's no longer that skinny, shy 16-year-old kid. He's now that arrogant 21-year-old real estate agent. He's got that swagger about him now.
That salesman swagger about him now.
Strolls in the train in the suit when he knows he's not going to train. It's like, oh, yeah, no worries, mate.
He just needs to buy like an Audi or something like that, or like your Russian Audi.
I was going to say, he just needs to expect the Russian about when he was in his real estate days and work out what he needs.
Get a big overcoat,
No, so far it's been a good season. Like we're 12, 11-1, moving to Cheltenham this Friday night. So Friday night footy again. Some away from home though. It's going to be a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, so Friday night at Cheltenham. So we've played all our Friday night games that we have had have always been at home. So we haven't played a Friday night away. Which is an interesting one, but I think I'd rather play Friday night than 8:55 on a Saturday morning.
Mate, when you rang me and told me, they want to play Friday night 7 o'clock, I was like, as someone not playing, and as somebody who has a full weekend of halfback stuff and baby showers, and also needs to build my daughter a cubby house for her second birthday, and somehow in that time I was like, you absolute ripper. That's a great result.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. But we've got some other, things coming up. We didn't mention that we unfortunately had to cancel the 60-year reunion.
Yeah, I was just trying to push that through my
event, but we do have some, hoodies
we do hope to have, presentation night, we will be doing the 60-year stuff. Unfortunately, I think in this day and age of social media and when you've only got a couple of people really doing anything, it does make... It was devastating for yourself and I because of the amount of work that we'd put in the off-season and meetings here not to go ahead, but is what it is. It's I think it's reflective of where we are as a club, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I think, we've said it privately and stuff. It is a reflection on where we are, really, when, it's a 60-year reunion. You think there'd be people busting down our doors to be able to, when are we catching up? When are we doing this or when are we doing that? And instead you got poor Steve Rowney driving around the week before trying to drum up people to come to it. No, I had no idea, but they've somehow seen the Facebook posts and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
but we've got hoodies available, 60-year hoodies available.
Got a handful of those left. But we are going to do the team of the 60 years and the Hall of Fame. Those people will get inducted during presentation night, which Hall of Fame will be something that's part of presentation night moving forward anyway.
And what date and where is that?
That is the 16th of September.
Yep.
At Sandown Park Hotel.
Cool. Sweet.
And Friday night.
Yep.
And
so ideal world, touch wood, not going ahead of ourselves, but ideal world, that's 6 days after we lift the cup.
Yes, in an ideal world, we're celebrating a premiership while we're inducting the first lot into the Hall of Fame.
So in an ideal world, we've got blokes haven't been at work for 5 days, still going on from Saturday night.
I might be one of them.
No, ideal world, mate, you'll be after the Sunday after your Supers Grand Final.
Exactly.
But other than that, we've got the $2,000 draw, which we've been obviously very, very fortunate with how that's come across and how that's come about. That's 6th of August.
6th of August at the club rooms. Reverse draw. 199 tickets available. And
just a quick question, and this is obviously could have been, are they going to be available online? Like, are you going to be able to purchase tickets online?
No, okay. In person. Yep. Everyone will get their tickets to go out and sell them to people. We'll keep this as a...
But if you are somebody that's from out, can't get to the club, a past player, you can reach out to the club and purchase one, and we'll go through the where money needs to be sent to.
Yep.
For all that stuff. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that not that anybody sees social media that we've noticed and don't want to buy tickets, but
yeah.
And then once we get into finals, once we know where we're at, what day we'll be playing. We will be doing the first probably 9 rounds or 10 rounds of the season vote count at the club. That's obviously date to be confirmed once we sort of know where our finals are. Ideal world again, we're finished top, and it's after our first final, or we finish top 3 and it's after our first final. Ideal world.
So sort of what we've got left is 6 games to go for the regular season. We got 3 of those are at home.
I think so. Yeah,
3 out of the 6 are at home. I'm pretty sure. We've got a couple of the top 4 teams to come up against.
I think so. We're away to Cheltenham this week, and I think we're home to Bentley, I think, and then away to Springy, and then home to Keysy, away to Dingley, and then home to Narry.
Yep. So, we'll...
maybe even Narry South, we might do the vote count, possibly. It takes a couple of hours. No? Okay, no dramas?
No. But, we've got 6 games to go. We're looking healthy. We're sitting on... Well,
health is a...
We're looking all right, sitting on top, but,
It's a cluttered top 3, top 4, though.
We do have some players coming back, and I'll cross my fingers for you.
I guess I was crossing mine.
That you'll get back for finals.
But that's the thing, mate. You look at the blokes we got out. We've got a lot of quality to come back into that team. Like, you've probably got, I think of 4 to 5 to 6 that could be back. So, it's
hopefully guys are getting back for the run home. Fat is another one that's been out since round 3, 4.
Yeah, Toby can drum up his games for his 200th.
So he's keen to get back. But 6 games to go, and we're only 1 game clear on top. So anything could happen.
And it's between 1 to 4. It's we sit there and say we're top, but we're only 1 or 2 losses off 4th.
Yeah, exactly. That top 4 is real tight.
And then even that 5 through to about the 5, 6, and 7 are pretty are all really in the hunt for. And as we know,
definitely a bit like the AFL ladder at the moment. There's a lot could change pretty quickly. So
and as we know with not just thirds footy, but any local footy, you can finish 5th. Just because you finish 5th and you've finished 7 games behind top of the ladder, you still have every chance to win the grand final. Funny things happen during finals.
Yeah, that's it. Mate, some huge news in local footy in our league was that Fev put the boots back on for St Kilda City and went down to Cranny, and one of the that'd have to be one of the biggest bloody lineups you've seen. You got Dane Swan, Brendan Favola, Aaron Edwards.
Yep.
All playing.
Few potato cakes handed out, you reckon?
In a freaking suburban football team down in Cranny at Livingston.
Yeah. Did you see that?
That's pretty ridiculous.
Just a side note. Obviously we've spoke to St Kilda City's coach Matt Hoy quite a few times on halfback stuff. He actually coached his last game on the weekend, so he's actually not coaching forward. So Yep. So I think he's Ryan, his brother, who we also spoke to at Nations Footy Cup's taken over. So I don't know, maybe just too many. Him fitting in with Fev and that just didn't quite work. Him being the big shot coach, but a good bloke.
Hoy brothers, Rippon brothers, the coaches of teams for the Nations Footy Cup, Team New Zealand and Team World. I think
World,
it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Matty done last 2 years, and Ryan coached Team World for the first time this year. So hopefully they'll be back again next year. And
wish him all the best with whatever he does. But mate, if imagine going into the start of the year thinking you're going to get to coach Swanee and how good's this, and then all of a sudden you got half a bloody AFL team.
Well, I remember when we spoke to him last year at Nations Footy Cup, we mentioned about Dane Swan and what it was like. He's like, you had to start filtering out the blokes that weren't really serious, and then all of a sudden you got Fev rolling in the train as well, and Aaron Edwards back from Bali. What's another one, Aaron Edwards?
Surely Fev's not rolling in training.
Oh, well, he does do breakfast radio, so probably not. That's another one, Aaron Edwards. He was
Aaron Edwards kicked.
He was he's been training and doing stuff with Bali Geckos.
Oh yeah.
So another little apparently he's brought a place out in Bali, and actually I think I heard something they weren't expecting to get him back. They thought he was going to be spending the rest of the footy season in Bali, but when you got that line up, they can really push for a flag. I don't think you're not coming back.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting, especially, Cranny, their first year in this league and getting a host, that kind of talent down there would have been pretty crazy.
It would have been one of those ones where it's like, really? Yeah, cool, we get to host them. But really, we have to play against them? Like, we're top, we're doing pretty well. We have to play against them?
Yeah.
But good on them. Good on a lot of clubs doing well across the league. I think the league in general are doing a pretty good job. Like, I can't really, besides obviously early the season with our fixturing, but that's out of their control when you don't really know what clubs are going to come in. The league have done pretty well this season. Don't really hear.
And the good thing is, I'm seeing a lot of AFLs getting played all around the world too. So it's good. I've seen the Mozzies have had some games.
Well, they had the European Championships 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Don't ask me who won, 'cause I don't remember. I've seen a lot of posts about that. We got the clubs getting around it.
I know there was some little tournaments going on over the US as well. With,
well, just one on the USAFL. The USAFL have just signed a partnership with Tasmania.
Yeah, so I saw that. So,
and apparently all done without any help from the North Texas Devils, which I was a bit blown away. And I spoke to James from North Texas Devils. He was like, no, it's actually serious. Like, the USAFL went out and done it themselves.
Yeah, nice. Well, hopefully one day Tassie's got their own AFL team and it helps USAFL spread the word and stuff as well.
Absolutely. Now, hopefully, it can only benefit the North Texas Devils, which they sent out some jumpers, so we're going to show a lot of love to them fellas across there.
It is one of my favourites to whip out for training.
It is a ripper.
And blokes be like, oh, where'd you get that jumper?
Yeah, it's North Texas Devils, boys.
I'll tell you what, I'd be adopting Tassie as my second team if they had a jumper like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Tassie Devils, like, come on. Like, it's
a quality jumper.
Forget about sending North Melbourne or whatever there. Start your own thing, Tassie Devils.
And when
ripper.
And when like you listen, if you want to listen to it, go back and listen to the show we done with them. But they actually reached out to Tasmania and got the copyright for all the logos, the colours to use them. They didn't just go, we're going to build a relationship with North Texas, with Tasmania without actually reaching out to them. They did all the due diligence, whatever that word is, to do it and get it like ticked off and copyright and everything like that, so they weren't infringing on any copyrights. So credit to them for that work they've done. And they've, from my conversation with James the other day, it sounds like they're almost one of the biggest clubs in USAFL now. They're pretty much every game they're rocking up with the full 22.
You're in Texas. You don't do shit in half measures, mate. Everything's bigger in Texas, all right? You know that. Texas they're big. You know?
There you go, Riff. You don't need to edit that out. I dropped it.
Big cowboy boots, big hats.
42 minutes in, just double check that, would you? But mate, we might as well wrap that one up for tonight. As I said, ideal world, and I'm not going to promise anything, but we hopefully be back next couple of weeks. Leading into finals, it'd be good to be able to do this. We've got 6 rounds left every Tuesday. Get a few guests on.
Well, after each home game, so we've got,
Yeah.
We've got away, home, away, home, away, home. So
it's really whenever we can be bothered pulling the gear out, really. Let's just be blatantly honest. And it'd be one of those things where we could be sitting here on a Tuesday night, no intention of doing it, and then by quarter 8, everyone's gone from training, and it's like, well, might as well.
Yeah.
Could we not? We have all intention of doing it, and we're still talking shit in the change rooms at 8:30.
It happens more often than not.
It does. But no, mate, it's been good to have a chat with you. So this will be up, probably hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, Wednesday, Thursday. You can watch it on the Cobra's Facebook, the Halfback Digital Media YouTube page, or listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm an Apple Podcast man myself, so
yeah. Spotify, it's all on. It's all on there.
Wherever you get your podcast, you can get it. And once the off season rolls around, mate, Halfback Digital Media will be back working on a podcast that we started, but again, COVID and everything sort of put a halt to it. Locker Room Drivel will be back with a few big guests, but got a couple that we're working on, a couple of big names in local footy. And if you're a club, you're a footy club or cricket club, want to start getting into the world of podcasting and hitting this digital media zone, hit out Halfback Digital Media. You can see the setup we've got, cameras, the mics. Don't just do it on a phone. Get the people in to do it. We can edit it, come down, film it all for you. Top notch stuff, mate. There's no point heading into the digital world and podcasting with like how we did when we first started.
Yeah. Just if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah. Just be like Texas, mate. We don't do stuff in half measures here.
That's it.
So, well, pleasure to speak to you again, mate, on the Cobracast, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Cheers.